So there you go. That's hello in Mohawk. I want to thank the Canadian Journalism Foundation for this award. It's a huge honor, and I thank you very much. Nialagoa. Two questions popped up the moment I learned I got this award. My nephew wanted to know if this meant I was old. The other question was something that I had to find within myself by looking at those 40 years that I've been working in Canadian journalism to find a common thread. And I found three words that I think tell the story. Changed the narrative. I think that's something that I've been working at from day one to today and probably till tomorrow as well. What was the narrative at the time? Well, they were based in bias and prejudice, stereotypes. They basically said that Indigenous peoples were either perpetual victims or perennial problems that just wouldn't go away. These were attitudes throughout Canadian society, and it's no wonder that a lot of those attitudes were in the Canadian media as well. Our job was to try to change those predominant narratives as journalists of color, whether you were black or brown or Asian or someone with a disability. It didn't matter. You had to try to break down those walls of apathy about who we were. We tried to get people out of their comfort zone to explore and answer the question, who are we? What are we? What are we doing? I had the great good luck of coming back from South Africa with some ideas about what we could or should do. And I lucked upon the Aboriginal Peoples Television Network. They had just gotten a license, the stars aligned, the heavens opened up, the sun shone down on APTN, and they hired me for some reason to be the first news director and to build a national Indigenous television news operation. And we did. And the whole idea of building that was that we had stories that we couldn't tell in the mainstream. We couldn't tell them mostly because we had overseers, we had editors and producers who often didn't think that these stories were worth telling, or they didn't understand the meaning of these stories, the implications, the importance of these stories to us, to our people, to our communities. And I think that creating that news organization, doing the stories that we do, changing the narrative one story at a time, was also an impetus, a push for other journalists of color to begin telling their stories, whether they were other marginalized or racialized communities, to start telling those stories and take charge of their narrative and change it. So I want to thank the Canadian Journalism Foundation again on behalf of all of us.